going on, y'all? Welcome to Cartel Flow. Beautiful things come from struggle. We got a beautiful guest. You know what I'm saying? We're going to introduce her in a second, but I'm going to pass it on to my partner in rhyme, crime, and all that, and then some.
Auntie Shin.
You already know.
If you don't know, now you heard it. So
you already know.
You already know. And we are so blessed to have our special guest today, who's waited. I'm so excited. I'm so great. I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so
in this
happy
space.
to be here.
It's like, let's just be open and honest. This is a sacred space. I am grateful that the universe has brought Nate back into my life. And I feel like at one point I've met you before too.
Yes.
I know I have in life. So I'm so happy to be here again. It's like amazing what community outreach can actually do.
It really is. And surrounding yourself around positive people doing positive things. I noticed that the more that I surround myself around people with good energy, good things come to me. So
God is good.
all the time.
Mm-hmm. God is good.
Well, first and foremost, if you don't know, you will know. I want to introduce our guest today, Chiteira Thomas. You want to let them know about yourself?
Yes, my name is Chiteira Thomas, born and raised in Brockton, Massachusetts.
Right.
The big 508. I've been told, even living in the city of Boston now, how I'm so Brockton. So as my first podcast, I wanted to kick it off in the 508.
So you've been asked, Chiteira, how many times to be on podcasts?
About 5 or 6 times. And, I'm going to go through with them. But, I've been in the transition right now of, going to a different job. And so I've been really trying to focus on that, not really getting too caught up in, trying to do anything outside of, making this transition. But Nate, was telling me about, the Cartel Flow. I actually saw him on it, and I was like, you know what, I think that's going to be the one I started off. And now that I am going to my new job, I'm a lot happier. I'm in a more grounded place.
Congratulations.
Thank you. To be a recovery coach.
That is incredible.
Yes.
That is incredible.
Yes. After what I've, my life and what I've been through.
Well, you're from Brockton, right?
Yes, I am.
So where did you grow up in, what part of Brockton are you from? Everybody wants to know.
Everybody has a side, but I think I'm south side to the death.
Right.
My grandmother, my grandparents, they were from Boston. They were actually living in Warren Gardens out in Roxbury before they bought their home over here deep on the south side in Brockton. So near Southfield Gardens. So I grew up around Southfield Gardens. My grandmother's house was the base.
That's my uncle used to live on that street, Carl Ave.
Right off
my
of
uncle lived on Carl Ave.
So we lived right off of Sinclair. She lived at 7th Circle. So I always been the south side. But we had lived on Walnut. We lived on Walnut when I think that was my mother's first apartment was Walnut. Then we lived on Honor Drive, Westfield Estates, which is right off of West Elm, right near West Junior High.
So is this when you were in school?
This was like young years. This was so that was Hancock. I went to the Hancock.
You went to Hancock?
School. Yeah, I went to
nice.
Hancock.
All right.
I went to
Hancock Park. You hung out there?
No, I just went to the school. It was so.
Well, they're trying
Hancock
to make the
is
Hancock
so
Park
far.
better. They're really trying to work on that.
Yeah, but I went there from the 1st grade to the 4th grade, so I was there for.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we moved. Over to Longworth, which was more deeper on the south side towards like Kmart, West Bridgewater. But I loved living over there because my cousins lived there. And that's where I met my best friend that had moved out here from East Boston. And I met her there going into the 7th grade. And then we just stayed on the south side ever since then. So I'm a south side girl.
I love that. It's friends for life, huh?
Yeah.
Still bestie, ride or die.
Still my day one A1.
Let's give a shout out to best friends.
Yes, Jillian Richards, a.k.a. Fame. I love you, Mama.
Normalize telling your friends you love them. It's normal.
Oh,
but
she's
people,
my heart.
Yeah.
She's my heart. Like I have, not even that. I have my crew of girls that I became friends with in the 7th grade. They're still there for me. We try to get up monthly and meet up with each other and do things. But those are my dogs. Like, they've been there for me. Even going through my incarceration and everything. In my addiction, they never looked at me differently. You know, those are my girls.
May I ask you, when was the date that you were released from, like, that you were incarcerated, your incarceration was
I went
ended?
in, it ended in November 12th, 2023 is when I came home. And I didn't know ever when I was coming home until 2 weeks before coming home. And I say that to say, like, I went in, I was awaiting trial for 3.5 years. That's never knowing. Then when I, got sentenced, you're still waiting on the appeal, so then you're always having hope for the appeal, even though you're sentenced.
So how do you maintain that hope
Oh,
through struggle?
God grounded me, bettering myself with programs. I got my bachelor's degree from Boston University.
Shout out to education.
Shout
I
out
love
to
this.
higher learning.
You got
Educate
that right.
yourself. Educate yourself in any way that you possibly can. And me coming from, a drug addiction, I was a drug addict out here on these streets for 5 years.
So, want to give us a little bit about your story?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
If you want to,
I would say the transition would be better if we go into
We
it.
can peel the onion, or we can just go right into
No,
your
we can actually. I can
story,
actually tell the story a little bit, and I know you have some questions, but I think if I tell it more in the flow, it'll.
I think
Yeah,
it's more open. I mean,
Yeah.
I want you to have the floor. This is your story. This is your space in your room. Chiteira,
This is it.
you are here, honey.
I'm here. So growing up, I want to say that I had a good childhood, but I did struggle. I had a mother who was a functioning addict, and a father who was a functional alcoholic. So there was a little bit of, trauma, that kind of snowballed into more trauma, growing up. But I always felt loved. When I was 14,
You felt loved, though.
I still felt loved. I'm not going to sit there and say I didn't feel loved. I felt loved, but, I didn't realize, well, people didn't realize is I was like a sponge. Anything that I saw going on around me, I internalized in my own way. I grew up way faster than I should have because of the things that I was exposed to. I would have loved to been a little girl and a child more. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? To give myself a chance than having to be put into situations where I had to think like an adult.
Yes, I can testify to that. I'm sure Nate can as well on that. Having to, grow up faster than your years. The city of Brockton kind of makes people, grow up a little faster than their years.
It's the
It
boogie,
was-
yo.
it
We
was
come
like
up, we
that
come
when we were
off the
kids.
porch early, way early.
I just find it a complete honor and privilege to be in your presence. I mean, I know your story, but I just can't wait for the rest of the world to hear your story because you're just so powerful. And I'll tell you all the time, even though I'm a grown ass man, a couple years older than you, I look up to you.
I appreciate it.
I'm just so proud of you, man. Everything that you've been through in your life, you exemplify what it means to be a redeemed human being. You know what I mean? I really mean
It took a lot, but I'm thankful for the journey. Like it made me everything that I am. So like
And what a complimentary statement.
yes.
That
It's been a journey. But when I look at where like I've been through to where I'm at now, like all I want to do is let someone else know that they can do the same thing. I really do. I try to live as an example for anybody that is stuck in something that they can't see their self getting out of, and just really believing in themselves and believing in a higher power to help them and guide them through it. Because that's basically what it took for me. So just to start off the story, like I got pregnant at 14, but I want to say by the love of my life, and it was hard. It was the first year of of junior, actually high school. It was the freshman year of Brockton High, and I got pregnant.
But shout out to Brockton High because you
They
could
had,
bring
I
a
brought my
child-
baby.
Yes, you could.
I brought my
Shout out to
baby.
Brockton High.
Yep, and
Yeah.
he did. He actually went there as a kid, and he actually graduated. You know, so shout out to Damani. You know, my prince, my everything. He actually ended up graduating from Brockton High School, something that I didn't get to accomplish, but I'm so proud of him and everything that he's doing now. But we'll get into that later. But you know, I met his father. And
The middle.
okay. I met his father when I was 14, you know, got pregnant then, had him at 15, was really, really depressed. I told him that I was 16 and I was only 14 and he wasn't having it. He was 18 and he actually did leave me. And I, you know, as a young girl, you know, you're caught up in feelings and everything, but I had to respect it. You know, he was like, my family was upset, but I had to let them know that, you know, I lied to him. But once he ended up getting locked up, you know, he decided, and when I did turn 16, we actually did, you know, stop being together.
May I
Yeah.
ask you, how were your girlfriends at that time with you? Like, you know how we had you do, because you said like maybe your family, but did you have like that girl circle like that was supporting you?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
good.
my
Wonderful.
homegirls were there for me.
Always.
You know, Damani was their baby too, and you know he brought out the best in me. You know, but I was struggling with my mother. My mother was, you know, still, you know, dealing with her addiction at the time, and I ended up going to live with my grandmother. And, you know, when I moved to my grandmother's house, my cousin, you know, ended up moving there. My older cousin, Rachel, she ended up moving in from Atlanta. She was living down in Atlanta with some family, and she came. And then my cousins, my boy cousins, Reggie, Shawnee, Nato, they lived up the street. And we had always we always grew up together as brothers and sisters. So moving to my grandmother's house, they lived up the street. Like my grandmother's house became the fort, you know, like everything. And we just, you know, it was a good vibe. And my son was growing up in love. He was growing up with a village, you know, like we all did. But I love that he was growing up in my grandmother's home.
Yes.
Because we all grew up in that home, you know. So it was dope to be able to have him there. And I was spoiled in the sense of like I never bought Pampers, I never bought diapers, I never, like my grandfather, you know, God rest his soul, both of my grandparents are passed now, but God rest them, like the way they were there for me, being a young mother. But I also feel like they kind of enabled me not to be responsible either by doing everything for me.
Right.
You know, so like these are things that I had to think about later on. Like I wish they would have encouraged me more to be more independent.
I think I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah, but you know, going over there and you know, but then my baby's father, once he came home, it was very tumultuous. He was very abusive, you know, verbally, mentally, physically. It was a lot, you know, and I'm not trying to tarnish his image and everything because he's passed now, and we'll get into that. But it was a lot for a young girl.
Yeah.
To deal with. It was a lot, and especially not really having any control
And
over.
at your age, at
At
that
my
age,
age,
at that age. I mean,
I
it
was
your
put
young
I was
age.
put into some situations that I was not ready for mentally. You know, I didn't have the mind capacity to deal with these things. But I had
But
decided.
what a blessing, honey.
What a blessing.
I
but
don't have any kids, so I'm blessed. You have blessing.
Yeah, and then he I was finally by the time I was 17, I was ready to leave him. You know, I was over it. I was done. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I had other guys in the city, you know, approaching me, you know, seeing me, and I could say I
Well,
was
look
really
at
in
you.
my prime.
Look at you now. I
I
think
was
you are
really
right
in my
now.
prime, but like, you know, and I was a popular girl. I hung out, you know, with everybody. Everybody knew who I was. And I was ready to leave him. He had saw a letter on my grandmother's table from somebody that was locked up, you know, showing interest in me, and it was also somebody he knew. And he came at me. He beat me up in my grandmother's backyard. He ended up knocking out a back tooth of mine and everything. But you know, I was still standing firm on what I was gonna be doing, as far as like I didn't want to deal with that anymore.
And how strong is that? Because a lot of people just stay.
Yeah, but
You had the courage to go.
he came on some. He came at me in a way that I didn't think he ever would. And I was driving with somebody who I claimed to be a cousin of mine back then. and her man, and I was already drinking. Back then, Absolute was my thing.
Yeah.
So I had a bottle of Absolute, and everybody used to go over here to Mike's. Mike's right over there
remember
on
that.
Montello.
Yeah.
So it was a little, bar over there that everybody used to go to. So we was heading over there to Mike's, and he was walking down the street, and I had already heard about him, like, using drugs and dealing things, but like I wasn't in that, that mind frame at that time. But he snatched me out, my cousin's car, and we went up to his cousin's house, who was right over here on Main Street, one of the high rise, the elderly building
Yeah.
high rises, and he started using crack in front of me, and I was like, "Are you really doing this in front of me?" And I remember going to like pass out on the couch because I was really drunk. I actually drunk more, and I actually passed out. And I thought, I was waking up to smoking weed, and it was really crack. He had tricked me into smoking crack cocaine. And the reason you don't know what that feeling's like until you feel it. And then once you feel it, you can't unfeel it.
I know.
So it's like, I never wanted to try it. It's not something that I was like, hey, I'm going to try this today, or even my life is so bad, I'm going to try this today. But once I tried it, it was like, I liked it. Like, it made me not think. It was a feeling that was like, okay, like everything else was blocked out. And I didn't realize how much trauma I was running from. I didn't realize how much things were really.
It made it go away a little bit.
It made it go away.
Made it go away.
Didn't have to think about that. But the thing is, like, you got to be careful what you lead people into. You got to be careful what you may try to get somebody to do, because you might make it out and they may not. And he didn't. And I think he thought I was just going to be maybe an addict like that, but I went down really, really quick. I went down really, really fast.
It only takes a minute. It's fast.
It did. There was like no functionality with it at all. None. I went straight to like, him. He was connected. He was a Puerto Rican, so he had we had connections to like getting stuff, but then it just started going down and down and down, and not really taking care of my appearance, not caring about how I was looking. And once people, started having suspicions of like even me getting high, it wasn't the love that I received from people. I can't even say was love. Like, it almost felt like people were happy to see me fall.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just, every time I hear your story, I just see the parallels. You know what I'm saying? Like the parallels in it, and even though some of the circumstances are different,
Yeah.
right? It's just the same normal thing, trauma. You understand what I'm saying? Being abused, being verbally abused, or being, I was a kid sexually abused and things of that nature. But also, every time I hear your story and every time I talk to you, I feel like I'm healing too. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, like, I can't say it enough, like, I'm just so enormously proud of the woman you are, the woman you have become. And if I was to put a word connected to you, it would be strength. It would be power. You know what I'm saying? To be able to, like, the thing that I love the most about you, and sisters like you, and brothers like you, is how they've been able to come out of this adversity in their life, man. You know what I mean? But I just want to just hear you continuously tell your story.
Yeah. No, thank you for those kind words, and it means everything. And I like how you just said strength, and to know that you're a strong individual, but to have your entire city looking at you like you're weak, that killed me. That hurt a lot. And what a lot of people don't understand is I really function off of the slights, the negative comments, the negative looks that people gave me, people that I thought were my friends, people that I thought cared about me. Like, as much as my addiction was hard, it actually showed me who got my back, who really cares about me. And I realized in a moment, not a lot of people did. for people to turn their back on you and look at you differently and treat you differently just because you're using a drug. And now, mind you, I'm not stealing from nobody. I'm not doing nothing to nobody. I'm not, I'm not living.
You weren't born to say you wanted to do this
You
stuff.
get what I'm saying?
Just like the people outside. Nobody was
Nobody
saying this.
wants to, and it's like that's why now I live a life now where I tell people, be kind to everybody you meet. Be kind. You don't know what God's doing in their life, and you don't know what the outcome will be. And a lot of people that bet against me are looking at me now like, how the hell did she do that?
I mean,
How did she get, and the thing is, I've always been this person, but I needed guidance. I needed people to care about me. I needed people to instill, some type of passion in me to care about myself. A lot of my behaviors were self-destructive because I started to feel not loved. You know what I'm saying? I walked around like to be a very popular girl of this city and then watch everybody turn their back on you because you're getting high that was trauma in itself.
That's true.
That was trauma in itself. I was only 17. I was only 17 years old, and then I watched all this, and like I had to learn these streets, and I had to learn it quick. And I was everywhere. Like you could catch me from the south side to the north side. I walked around a lot. But I this face card never declined. I was a cute girl, so getting, tricks and Vicks or whatever else was going on wasn't hard for me.
That's right.
Like I'm not gonna hold.
Like Brockton then versus Brockton
Brockton
today.
is so different now.
First of all, everybody in Brockton, look at this beautiful face. First of all, she don't age. So number one, let's just start there.
Thank you.
You are absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
So whatever was going on back then, they'll be out now.
But it's not
you.
even. But it's like like I said, one thing. I think Jigga said it. Everything I see, maybe everything I am. Like I'm thankful for everything that I've been through. Like everything from the crack addiction to being on these streets, being on the streets and doing what I was doing then prepared me for going inside. And really, help me to be able to be in there. And what a lot of people don't, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, prison was way easier than these streets.
Oh.
Like people will look at,
that's true.
People will look at it and be like, oh, like you're in prison. Like to me, my addiction and the slave that I was to the streets of Brockton, that was bondage. To not wake up and be in control of your own thoughts and your actions, and you're just trying to survive day to day. Like that right there is bondage. I had no control of myself. When I got to Framingham, no longer smoking cigarettes, no longer drinking alcohol, no longer doing drugs, I could finally think straight. I had nothing holding me and everything. Like I had to feel.
How was that physical
It was hard. And I actually ended up, when I first got to Framingham, like a first year being there, like I got obese. I started eating, like food became an addiction.
Okay.
And I got really, really, big. I was a big girl.
I was a big girl before. Everybody remembers the girl. Nobody knows me now. It's good. They're like, who's this lady?
But I was like the depression and going in there, like that was something else I had to go through. I went through many phases of my life. That's why I love, like, not to cut you, like, but I love butterflies. Like my whole house, there's butterflies all over my house because I love the idea of the butterfly and the metamorphosis that a butterfly goes through, to crawl on your belly as a caterpillar, trying to find that perfect spot to go into your cocoon. And to me, that's what Framingham was to me. Going to Framingham was my cocoon. I didn't think it was, and I had a life sentence. I didn't think that I was ever going to get out, but God knew the perfect time for me to get out. But it like being in that cocoon and finally realizing that I can fly. I have wings I could use to fly. And then, having that opportunity, like I love what the butterfly represents.
Oh, absolutely. And it also represents like angels.
Yes.
Just hearing you talk about like, the determination and things of that nature. Because, you know how people are, man. Like, they say things to you, you know what I mean? And sometimes I remember those things, too. All the people that were talking, even my own mother, you know what I mean? And now today, I use that as determination.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you said this about me, you did this to me. Okay, well, now I'm just going to use all of that negative shit, right, and transform that into power and do the best that I can and be the best that I can.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? But what I want to ask you, because I identify also, I was supposed to die in prison like yourself, but what I want to ask you was, what was it, without going in particulars about the crime, but what was it like when you got that natural life sentence?
Well, I think I have to talk about it just a little bit for people to understand that, so I don't, mind doing that. But at like 5 years into, being in my addiction, I was done. I was 22 years old. Everybody I'm hanging around, they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and I'm really starting to look around at my life like I do not want to be 50 years old still smoking crack. I don't. I didn't, and it's not even that. I never wanted to do it to begin with. I was tricked into using it and feeling it, and I never wanted to do it. It was never me, and I was going through an emotional time, and at the time of my crime, and I can say it, I really live the way that I do to try to reflect my remorse for what I did. But during that time where I caught my crime, I had been up. I hadn't slept in 3 weeks. I'm smoking crack. I'm smoking weed. I'm drinking alcohol. And then my friend was like, you got to go to bed, like, because I was flying around. I was just nonstop. And she gave me Klonopins. And
those are the worst.
I took those Klonopins, and the next thing you know, I'm waking up at another location. They told me I was riding a bike, and they're saying that I set a house on fire. And the first thing I said is, did everybody get out? And that's the honest to God truth. Not saying that I remember doing it or anything. I just know that I blacked out.
And you wanted to make sure
and
people
I wanted
were
to
safe.
make sure people were okay. So when they said that, and they told me that the woman that was on the 3rd floor, she wasn't doing good. It was hard for me. I don't know her. I know that there was a month-old baby in the house. I asked if that baby was okay. They told me the baby was okay, but the woman did, suffer some burns, and she was in the hospital. And I remember just being on the streets, and shout out to my boy David. He knows who he is. We grew up together. David Sanders. We grew up together, and we was actually doing our little 1-2 together as far as getting money. But he was the one really instilling it into me, like, yo, remember who you are. Like, there were certain people. I remember one time I'm walking down Main Street, and this was when everybody had to chirp. When I went to jail, everybody had to chirp. Everybody had to chirp,
but
and
explain,
he was.
these kids don't even.
Yeah.
People around don't realize we had a cell phone.
I think the side. I think it was the sidekick, and then
phone.
everything else came up. But but there was the Nextels, and you could either get it with Nextel or Boost. And you paid $1 a day unlimited just to be on the walkie-talkies. And it was that summer, the summer of 2006, when I was going in, where it was big. So, I remember him being on the chirp and talking to me and trying to remind me of who I was, like remembering, giving me, things of back in the day, like wanting me to get better, wanting me to remember who I was.
Reminisce of the person that you are.
Yeah, he didn't see it like that, and it was love like that really just, and I remember he doesn't know it, but I was just crying as he was talking. And I didn't, and this was a couple of days, seriously, before I caught this case. Like, I was really going through emotional changes. I wanted to change. I wanted to kill myself. I was right over by the Nelson Street Bridge where, there's a little bridge over there to the train tracks. I was going to jump off of it, and I heard God tell me no. Like, please let me work with you. And then I caught the case 2 days later, and then I found out, after, a couple of days, they ended up locking me up that, the woman died. She was 28 years old. She had 4 kids, a little girl that was never going to be able to meet her. And it was a lot. It was a lot, because that's not my intention. I'm a fighter. I'm from Brockton. I've been fighting since I was 6. I fight. I'm not a coward. I'm not the type to do anything like that. So what a lot of people don't understand is I was wondering what the hell happened. And I remember, getting into Framingham, and as soon as I walked into admissions, and I had been there before, I had did 30 days before, I had did 5 months before, so going into Framingham wasn't like my first time going to jail. And I had been to South Bay, but this was like the first time on a serious crime. And I remember walking in there like, I'm gonna die here. I'm gonna be here for the rest of my life. But my second thought was, but I'm gonna get clean.
And that part is what has been your gift.
That's it. And the thing is, what people don't know, there's drugs in prison.
Oh yeah.
And now they done put drugs in there legally.
Yeah.
Now you can get a cup of methadone and not have to worry about consequences of going to the hole. Like, you can get high in jail and you can numb it in jail and everything. But me personally,
They didn't put you on methadone.
No. Well, I'm talking about when I first came in,
yeah.
like as far as the drug flow.
Yeah.
Drugs was in there. But that was my second thought, and I did. I stayed clean. I had one time of messing around with people in there doing something, instantly regretted it, went to Bible study, heard the word from the Lord of, and it was, if God takes you out of bondage, you don't go back to bondage. And that was never going to be me again. But things happen. That's something else we can get into another time. But like, not to take off the story, but like
so
that
powerful.
we can talk about that. But like going in, that was my thought, and I was dead serious. Like I'm going to get clean in here.
It's the best thing.
I did, and so going in with that type of crime, and so I just went from being, the crackhead everybody wanted to talk about of the city.
But
everybody,
you were one of the most,
everybody
you were
was
actually the most popular girl. And
Yes.
everybody wanted to turn their back
but
on.
everybody wanted to talk about that. But like, so I went from being, this now they're putting me in the situation of, and I'm sorry, I'm a fighter, but I'm not a killer.
Of course.
Because even the guilt now, it is going to be 20 years. In July, it'll be 20 years since the crime happened. And I still feel guilt and shame. It never goes away. So me being responsible for one's person's life has affected me in so many ways. I don't know how some people have been responsible for many lives. You get what I'm saying?
Can I just pause right there for a second? I want to thank you so much for waiting to tell your story and share it in a place with me and Nate.
Yes.
Because for real, like, this is a sanctuary.
Yes.
For you, and I hope that you are comfortable.
I am,
mean,
and that's why
thought
when I found out it was
like,
in the 508,
I want you to feel
and I want
respected.
people to know this too. And it's like, it's really my story to tell you. Like, even when I came home, like, before we go back to that, but like, even coming home and hearing how many people died from overdoses. Yeah. Some of the people that have died or are not in good situations right now from drugs are some of the same people that had so much to say about me. And I don't come home like, oh, like, look, no, I come home like, okay, now y'all get what this feels like.
Yeah, but
now
there's a way out.
There's a way out, and that's what I try to do,
Yes.
is live my life and show them there's a way out. But back then, at 17 years old, carrying the brunt of everybody's hatred towards you, like everybody thinking I got diseases, everybody thinking I'm nasty, everybody thinking people spreading rumors about me, like even to bring it up, like I kind of had to go through something with a guy that I grew up with, him asking somebody if I had a disease.
What?
Still, oh no, this is real, and I'm happy I'm on the podcast to talk about it because I want to say this. There's never been one person that could ever come out and be like, Chiteira burnt me, or Chiteira gave me this, or Chiteira gave me AIDS, or Chiteira gave me chlamydia, or Chiteira gave me gonorrhea. Nobody's ever said it, but yet that was the story going around.
Oh, yeah?
But nobody coming forward. And it's not. It was a lot of hate. And not even that. You already see me down and doing what I'm doing. Why would you want to kick me while I'm down? And
Well,
like, I really had to say it to homeboy, because now I'm coming home and that's being brought up again. Like, I had to let him know, like, on some real-ish, like, I don't mess with a lot of people in my city because they don't rock with me like that. They still want to see me down. They still want to see me be a crackhead. They still want to see me about to die in prison. They don't want to see me move forward. And the thing is, that's fine. It's no love lost, but it just lets me know who to be around and who not to be around. And that's what I said about being in positive spaces and with positive people. The spaces that I'm in now, that would never be a thought that comes to their head.
Yeah.
That would never be something that they even think about. Even if it was something that I had, they wouldn't look at, oh, she got that. They would be looking at it, but look what she's doing now.
Like, oh,
you
how
know?
could we fix it?
How could we fix it, or how could we help her? How can we support her? So that's why I really don't mess with a lot of two people in my city, and I'm being real.
Well, you've got to be very cautious and protect your inner child.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm in the business. I think it's protecting your inner child and like keeping your space.
Yeah.
You know, as your temple.
I just feel like, you know, you already been through so much. But one thing I want to say, you know, is put respect on this sister's name, man.
For real?
Put
They
respect
refuse to.
on this sister's name.
Why?
Man.
Why are they?
You know what
Why
I'm
is this
saying?
camera
It's
getting
I
frozen?
really feel
Is
like
it frozen on
because
that?
when it really comes down to it,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot, and I don't mean to say it like this, but I have to say it like this. I didn't realize a lot of people were jealous of me or envious of me or looking at me like a lot of it wasn't genuine. Like to be that girl, and I mean this.
But you're
that-
strong.
I'm-
You've
that-
always
that's
been
what they
that.
that's what they
they're
counted out.
afraid
That's
of.
what they forgot.
I-
That's what they forgot. But like to be that girl that people go out their way to speak to you when they see you, to walking right by you like they don't know you, what that does
Yeah.
to your mind. And it's not, and it's like, did you ever care about me? Did you ever love me? Or, you know, when I'm up, y'all have my back. When I was that girl, it was like, oh, she's that. But once I was down, it was like, you hear about Chiteira? Chiteira's out
yeah.
there. Yo, Chiteira, you know, and it was like from people that I would have never thought. It was from people that I thought, like girls that I went to, went to elementary with, girls I was in junior high with, girls I was in, high school with, to just really treating me like a straight, like they dubbed me hard. When I look at it now, it's laughable.
There's friends that come into your
Yeah.
life when you're kids, and sometimes they're lifelong friendships.
Yeah.
But there's few and far between of that. I can probably count out of the 30 people that I rolled with hard. Like back then, we used to roll deep.
Yeah,
we
my
rolling a
squads
party
was deep.
30 deep. Now the kids aren't allowed to do that. Like some of these kids, and like they can't go to a party the way we did. No, it keeps freezing.
I'm just so tired of like, cause I remember, man, people were saying the same things about me. Yo, you heard what happened to Nate? You heard when Nate? I was locked up. Yo, you heard Nate? It was all negative shit.
Yeah.
But the thing about, and when I say put respect on your name, and I mean that, y'all better put respect on this sister's name, man.
Look at what
But y'all
she's
don't
doing.
even know what she's doing
Y'all
now.
don't even
and
hear
don't
it.
even
Yeah,
know
we didn't even get to that part.
Yes, that's a good segue. Like, what are you doing now?
Let's hear about it.
So what I'm doing now, oh my gosh. So I came home in November 2023. I ended up going to New Beginnings transitional home out there in Boston. And it was, it was a good place to start. And then I ended up going to my aunt's house, and I was there for a little bit before I ended up, getting renting a room at a rooming house. And truly because I just wanted independence. I wanted to feel that freedom of just making my own decisions and really adulting. I ended up, getting a job at the Center for Teen Empowerment to be a mentor in the Visions for the Future program, where we work with emerging adults between the ages of 17 to 24. What's going on?
I'm just tell you that one 3. I got you on 3, camera 3. I'm sorry for that interruption.
No, it's okay. So I worked at the Center for Teen Empowerment. I got a position there to be a violence intervention and prevention coordinator. And that was amazing for me to be able to work around, youth, but also males, being around a whole bunch of females, being able to be around guys and hear different perspectives. Because even when I was in prison, everything is, you're just surrounded by women. I wanted to hear a man's perspective. I got my entire bachelor's degree in liberal arts in a class with women. And I like inquisitive minds. I like to think and I think like before even going into what I'm doing, what I did in prison to build me up, to give me the confidence, pursuing higher education really changed my whole perspective on a lot of things. How not to be stuck in my own ways and my own thoughts, to sit in a classroom and hear, a professor teach something, but hear how everybody's perceiving it and interpreting it, and then me learning from them. I learned more from my classmates, than it seemed like from the curriculum sometime. Just shout out to pursuing higher education. Definitely educate yourself in any way you can. But getting the job at, as a violence intervention and prevention coordinator at Teen Empowerment, got me into the community, got me to work with, different organizations. I got to meet a lot of great people out in Boston. And then I decided I'm going to stay in Boston. And at the time, there was so much resources for as far as reentry for the city of Boston. So I was very grateful to come home and be able to access the things that were available to us and to me. But I think even to talk about where I'm at, I think I need to probably talk about how I built myself up in prison first.
Yes,
dope.
that is
Yeah,
it.
I think I need to talk about that, because in order to understand this, it needs to really,
And
understand
you.
what was going in there. And I know you guys can edit all this after, but starting with my journey of really the transformation in prison, going in, like I said, it was really hard. I became really obese. I was like 240, and I'm a small girl. I'm only like 5'2". So imagine all that weight on me. But I ended up getting, and this is like the worst. This is how I ended up, dealing in the carceral health field. We'll get into that after. But I ended up getting gallstones while I was inside.
Do you have a gallbladder? I do not.
No, they took it out.
They took
it
mine
out.
out, too.
Yeah, they took it out. And the reason why, I ended up losing a lot of weight is because I was scared to eat from the gallstones, because any type of food was triggering the pain. I realized that anything greasy I was eating was triggering the pain, and once you feel that pain, it's
it's instant.
Oh my gosh.
If you have a gallbladder, good for you.
Yeah, so I had to go to the Shattuck to get it out, but it was the best decision I ever made. But that's how I really ended up losing a lot of weight. But I was still a bigger girl. Like I want to say that it was hard for me to get out of the 200s. For a long time, but there was a time that I got down to like 165.
You went to the Shattuck?
Yeah.
So let me. I go to the Shattuck. I got a couple doctors there. So I'm curious to know, like, did they put you in handcuffs and like shackles on your ankles? And stuff?
Yeah. So when you are just going to the lower level, yeah, you're shackled up. But I went to the unit called 8 North. They have a unit on upstairs. It's called 8 North. And it's for inmates. Like if you're incarcerated and you're, locked up somewhere and you need to go to a hospital place, and that's where they send you.
Okay.
And it's the worst thing. It's the worst smells.
It's embarrassing though.
It is so
I feel
bad.
bad seeing people in shackles.
So bad. I mean, the food was good, but it's just, it was miserable for me. Like, it's not the place for me. But anyway, that's how I ended up losing the weight. When I got sentenced, to go back to the crime, I passed out. I didn't pass out, but like I collapsed in the courtroom when they came back with the verdict, guilty of everything. And it was a month-long trial. And I think the hardest thing that anybody could ever go through in their life is a trial. So anybody that that has been through a trial, like, show them some respect. It is the hardest thing to sit in that room and hear people talking about you, and everybody's saying this, and you really can't say nothing, and this is your life that they're talking about. The things are not being said right, and there's nothing you can do. You can't, your lawyer's in control. And it was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. And my first trial was a month and a half long, not a month and a half, but like a little over a month long, of just hearing testimony and evidence.
Like every day?
Every day. Getting up in Framingham, getting cuffed up, getting in the back of that county van.
And where did you come? To Brockton?
Oh, to Brockton Superior. But shout out to Curly. I think Curly Pad. But shout out to Curly. Shout out to Billy. Shout out to Chief. I was eating lobster in there. I know the DA is going to be mad about hearing that.
No, it's all right. Listen, this is all, it's a free
They were good
flow.
to me.
They
Those were
good
my
to you.
boys. They made sure my clothes was good. They made sure I was eating good. My family got to bring me food. You know, and I could have been like other people trying to get other stuff. No, I just wanted to eat right, and I respect them. Like, I'm not trying to put myself or anybody else in no type of jeopardy.
Of course not.
You know, they were just kind to me. Everything, and they believed in me, and I think even, you know, going to Billy, I'm trying to find Billy. I heard he's working at the Kitten courthouse now, and I want to find Billy because I remember when they told me, you know, guilty of first-degree murder, I just started hyperventilating, and I just went down. And I remember them pushing the tables out to make sure I had space. They cleared everybody out the room, and I just remember sitting on that floor, just like thinking, like, I got life. And I remember Billy looking at me, and the look on his face, like, his heart felt for me. It was genuine. It was love, and it hurt to see that look on his face, but it also let me know that he really cared about me. And this was a CO in the courthouse.
Yeah.
But to hear that, you know, and I remember sitting down and.
And how old were you at this time?
I was 25 at the time.
So you're still a kid.
I was 25. I was 25 years old.
But
A child.
But when you caught the case, you weren't 20.
No, I was 20. So not even that. People got to understand, I'm really a 17-year-old girl because I started using drugs at 17. I went to prison at 22, but I'm still trapped at 17. I got sentenced to natural life, but I'm still trapped at 17. It took me a minute to get out of the 17-year-old mind that I had because if you look at the study of addiction, your mind does stop at the age you start using.
Yeah, because they say science says that
The science behind it.
trauma declines the maturity in the individual, and you're on drugs. Obviously, that's trauma.
So so here I am, 25 years old, but like I said, still of the mind capacity of a 17-year-old, being told I'm going to prison for the rest of my life. But God is good, and I have to, give a shout out to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because I was sitting there, and the judge was nice enough to let me sit down for the rest of the verdict. And I'm sitting there, and so I went in 2006. 2007, I'm leaving the chapel. And Sister Booker, shout out to Sister Booker and Sister Joanne, they were constant fixtures in, my life as far as being inside and learning, my spirituality and where I stand with God and where He stands with me.
That part, where God stands with you, because
Yes.
you can stand with God, but you really have to have God in you. It's
You
how you
have to.
see the God in your life.
You have to. You
And
can't.
it's a
It's more than
change.
it's
And
a
you can
renewing
change
of the mind.
People, places, things.
Yes.
But you cannot change the mindset
No.
if you don't believe in God
You got
or a
to.
higher power.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I believe everybody has a right to believe in anything they want to believe
Yeah.
in. But you got to have some sort of higher power
You got to.
in order to believe and to change these things like people's places and things and to actually make that work
Yeah.
and happen.
And that's where it was with me and with Sister, like I said, with Sister Booker, and I was leaving the chapel one day, and this woman, when she's praying with somebody, she is in tune. She's praying with them. She's good. But she sat there that day and she was praying with somebody, and I was walking by her, and she grabbed my arm. And she's looking at me like intently, and she said, "The Lord is going to do miraculous things for you."
Mm-hmm.
And I remember leaving that day like, oh my God, whatever. And I had forgotten about that. So that was in 2007. I went to my first trial 2010. And I'm sitting there, they're reading off because I had like 13 attempted murders for people that were in the house. So I had to hear them read off
Every name.
every count, everything.
Did you know? And you didn't. Did
I didn't
you
even know.
have
I didn't even know some of
acknowledge
these
that?
people.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of out, but I'll tell you how good God is. That's why I love the Lord. He brought me back to that memory of her telling me that He was going to do miraculous things for me. In the middle of them reading
did.
these charges, in the middle of them telling me that I'm going to jail for the rest of my life. You got all we're finding you guilty for the murder. We're finding you guilty for the arson. We're finding you guilty for the attempted murders. The Lord brought me back to that memory. And I started holding on to that.
Do you think that's what made you faint?
Well, no, this was after the fact.
Okay.
Me was just fainting of thinking about how my life was gone
Yeah, I didn't know.
at that age.
Yeah,
No.
no.
This was me sitting down and hearing it, and the Lord reminding me to trust him. It wasn't, don't trust nobody. I don't care what nobody in here saying. Trust me.
Well, and faith is something that's gone, I think, in a lot of
Oh,
households.
no, and this is what I want to restore back in people. People need to understand this, because when you look at me and you've known me my whole life and you look at me now, like, you have to look like, what the heck happened to her? Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
People thought I was going to be a crackhead for the rest of my life. I did too. People thought I was going to be in jail for the rest of my life. I did too. And yet I'm here with somebody else who was supposed to, be there.
And
I'm
on
here.
this side of the wall.
And we're on this side of the wall. We're doing a podcast. We're sharing our stories. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really starting to see what I was designed to do, designed to be. Once you
plan was for
understand
you to
your
help
purpose,
others.
that's it. And people look at it now like, I want them to understand. And like I said, I don't do this to be like, this is what, no, I do this to say, pull yourself up.
Yeah, and
Trust
stop being
somebody.
so judgmental
Don't
of
be,
others.
no,
We
don't,
judge
please don't
anybody.
judge nobody. You don't know what God is doing in their life. I don't care how messed up you see somebody out there. I don't care about somebody getting
It could be you next.
You never know what is gonna happen where you could be and where that person is gonna come out of. You gotta.
I always say, and I was taught, by, my man, Muslim brother, he says that the best form of charity is a kind word and a gesture. You know what I'm saying? But this, to go into a little further, like, one thing, like I was talking to you a couple of days ago, and I was like, yo, tell me what happened when you found out that you had the opportunity to go home. And that story, man, hit me, man, because I remember what it was like for me. But I like hearing it from other people. But I think
that was gonna be next. Because after getting that, so after getting sentenced to natural life, like I went in like numb, going in when you walk in there with knowing you have a natural life sentence, which means life without parole.
So it means a death sentence.
It means a death sentence. You're dying in jail. Yeah. And I was 25 years old, but what a lot of people don't know or probably haven't connected, my son's father died 2 days later.
Oh, my God.
My son's father, he died in Nashua Street Jail. He passed away. So here I am. I get convicted on March 1st. 2010, and he died March 3rd, 2010. And all I thought about was my son and how my son became an orphan in 2 different ways. It was death, but 2 different deaths. Mine was to be in jail, and his father was actual physical death. And I think that was the only time in jail that I wanted to get high.
How old was he?
My son was 10 years old.
Okay, so that must have been hard.
Oh, my son was 10, and my son's father, he was 30.
But that must have been hard on your son.
It was hard. He didn't really have the relationship with his father, but it's his dad.
Still,
his father was locked up a lot, but it was his dad, and it was so much on him that I didn't even tell him that I had a life sentence until 2 years later. I didn't tell him until he was 12. Because I was like, I didn't want to put all of that on him. And so it was really hard, but I ended up having an amazing attorney. Shout out to William Smith. He was pro bono, but he came. I remember the first time he came, so I got sentenced in March. He came in April, and he's like, I actually believe in this case. He's like, I'm thinking I can help you, and I'm thinking, okay, what is this man gonna do?
Right.
Like whatever. But I'm also remembering what God said, like, I'm gonna do miraculous things for you. And he's like, just like, what's your time frame? I'm like, I got life. I'd rather it be slow and steady than fast. Some people want quick results, and when you're dealing with the justice system, don't try to look for nothing quick.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you gotta be patient with yourself and everything. And I told him, I said, listen, all I got is time right now. I said, I want it to be slow and steady and us get some results. I said, I'm not gonna hound you. I said, I'm the type of thing, I'll do my own research and I'll hit you with some stuff or things that I think matter. I said, but also, like, all I ask is each step that we're further, is you just let me know where we're at with it. Don't leave me in limbo, you know.
Right. And that was good communication.
Good communication, and he loved me
That's
because
great.
I didn't harass him. I let him do his thing.
Right.
It took 5 years for us to do our appeal, but I remember him telling me like I want to add 20. Your brief is like 75 pages or 50.
Amendment.
Yeah, but he was like, no, I'm adding 25 more because he wanted to add some more evidence of things that why he thought I should win my appeal. And we went before the SJC, and I heard I couldn't go to the hearing, but what I found out, I think I was telling this is what I was telling Nate. I found out I had a hearing, and I remember going to one of our jailhouse lawyers, and so there's always jailhouse lawyers on it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, wait,
so,
the ones that read the book.
Yeah, we had this lady Joanne.
There's people that read the book. There's people that read the Bible, and then there's people that read the law books.
Yes.
I know one of
and
them.
they do it well. And the thing is, I got into it, but this one girl, like, she knew the laws, like, with everything. And I remember going to her.
Terry versus Ohio. Not to interrupt. Terry versus Ohio. You know that one? It's about a Terry search.
No.
Anybody that don't know
Yeah.
needs to know about the
No,
Terry
I need to learn about that.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Because that is
what.
what's going on around. You need to know your rights.
Yeah.
Watch the Terry versus Ohio. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's good because I'm actually going to look into that as soon as we're done.
It's actually a real thing.
But, I went to, her name was Joanne, and I went to her. I was like, listen, I just got a hearing for my appeal. Like, what does that mean? Whatever. And she looked at me, and she was like, girl, that's a good thing. Yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you could have got denied without a hearing. They could have denied you
without prejudice.
And just told you, we don't see nothing. She was like, the fact that you got a hearing means they see something about your case. And I was like, get out of here. She was like, girl, no, that's a good thing. She was like, I didn't let her see my reports, but I started going over it. And I see that my lawyer was basically saying that the cops violated my Miranda rights. Mm. And they did. Because when they was questioning me, I was telling them, now mind you, I have no sleep. I'm still like
3 weeks.
3 weeks no sleep. Still drugs in my body. Still recuperating from all the other things that's going through me. Everything. And they're like, well, you got to talk right now. And I'm like, well, I want to tell you, but I think I also need a lawyer here. Like I'm not that far out of it. I need a lawyer. And they perpetuated it as, no, like, if you don't talk to us now, you're not going to get a chance to talk to us
So
then.
you were bullied?
Yeah. That's what,
Do you think it's because you were a woman?
I think it was because I was a black, uneducated, so they thought, black, uneducated, drug user, young girl. That's it. And Brockton, I love my city and everything, but they do some dirty stuff. I watched a lot of stuff in my addiction of how the police department, treats people, especially people that are addicts.
Of color.
Of color. But even people just addicts. I remember one time I was getting locked up. I was in there and they had me, out there at the pole, getting ready to go in there to get booked. And this white girl that actually got high, they going at her, and and I'm not gonna say the cop's name, but he was grabbing her and he slammed her right into the wall, and she had the biggest knot, and she's handcuffed.
Now.
And she's handcuffed, and I watched this with my own eyes, and they're laughing about it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Well, sometimes there's like a brotherhood that's unspoken, and it's just not normal.
Yeah. So I got to see things like that, or even how police treated me. You know what I'm saying? How they treated me and my addiction. So. Once I saw that that's what we were going, that they violated my Miranda rights, I'm like, okay, and my lawyer, like I said, shout out to William Smith, he said it in the best way possible. And then also, when we had went to do my motion to suppress, the judge, their evidence, well, we were trying to suppress that part of, because this was me talking, this was me doing the interview. Yeah. And we were trying to suppress that, and the judge tried to say that the part where he said I lawyered up was inaudible. And I don't know what it was about the word lawyered up that was not supposed to be used, but
he said it.
The cop said it.
The word lawyered up.
And then the judge tried to say that he didn't hear that, but you could hear it clear as day.
Oh.
So when it got to the SJC, they was like, clearly you can hear that word. Clearly her Miranda rights were violated. And that's how I won my appeal.
Well, listen, Brockton's been known to be a corrupt city for a long time.
Listen,
but we're built on a city of champions. We're built on history and culture. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of bad things that happen, and sometimes it
there's-
happens to good people.
There's 3 other women that were locked up there with me that all 4 of us overturned our cases once it went to the SJC. So what does that say?
Plus,
What does that say? Me and 3 other women
From Brockton.
from Brockton, first degree murder cases, all of us went to the SJC. All of us won our appeals. What does that say? You know, and I'm not, going any further than that, but that to me is a pattern. Brockton,
The
the
state
DA, they
police, too?
they go straight for the jugular. They go straight where other cases should be second degrees, manslaughters, they always try to go for the first. They always trying to convict you.
Why do you think that's so?
I don't know, ex Timothy Cruz.
I remember too, like, when I was being booked, you know what I'm saying, and I was like, yo, I want a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk to my lawyer. And they was like, we can't get you one. And I tried to bring up that issue as well, but they denied me. But as I learned the law, and learning the law is beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Is that when you violate, somebody's constitutional right, that's a constitutional issue. So that's pure automatic reversal.
Yeah.
Under Miranda versus Arizona. You understand what I'm saying? So, it's a blessing with a dressing. You know what I mean? That God, that was God's provision anyway.
Listen, I was about to say, I got to give it to the Lord, but, when I found out we got the hearing and everything and my family got to watch it, they was like, your lawyer did good. So my lawyer got to go up there and speak. Then the DA went up there, they speak. Then they asked my lawyer to come back up.
But you had already put in the work.
And at this time, I was enrolled in, in programs. I was going for my college degree, for my bachelor's degree. So I was in the right headspace. Like I was in my transformation mode.
Yeah.
So it was, really good. And so my lawyer, I'll never forget. So after the hearing, it was the whole waiting process. Everything is a waiting game in the court system. I remember the CEO saying, Thomas, you got to visit. And I wasn't expecting a visit. And so I was like kind of taking my time, and he was doing a round, and he was like, what are you doing? And he was like, why are you getting all dressed up? I was like, he was like, it's just a lawyer's visit. And I froze. And he's just looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, what's wrong? And I was like,
you thought somebody was coming to visit you.
I thought it was a regular visit, but if it was my lawyer coming, that means it was my decision. He said
that's
that.
Scary.
And it's a feeling like you gotta.
So you froze.
I froze because I knew it was my lawyer down there with the decision saying if I was gonna, if I won my appeal. And he's looking at me, he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm waiting for my decision. I think it's my lawyer. And Carter, shout out to Carter. I think he's a state trooper now, but he was a cool ass white boy in there. There was some good CEOs in there. He was a cool white boy. And I remember him looking at me. He was like, oh shit, you think this is it? I was like, I don't know. He was like, well, hurry up so we can, he was excited.
He was so happy for you.
He was excited for me. You know what I'm saying? And I remember, that walk. I can't tell you if I was walking fast or slow, but it seemed like it took forever to get there. But walking down to the Smith building, walking into, the visiting room, and I'll never forget the visiting room was packed. The lawyers' rooms was packed. The kids' room was packed. Everybody was everywhere. And they was like, we don't got nowhere for you to go. Like, your lawyer's over there by the vending machine. And that's where my lawyer was, at the table near the vending machine.
At least you got to sit.
No, seriously, at least we got to
I know,
sit. So I walked over there, and I'm trying to read him. And, I'll give it to Will. He had a good poker face on. And he's like, hey, Chiteira, how you doing? I'm like, I'm good. How are you? And he's like, well, I got good news and I got bad news. And I'm like, oh, God. And he's like, well, the bad news is I was supposed to go kayaking today. He's like, but the good news is we won your appeal.
That
and
part. Let's just breathe for that second. You won. And you're here. And anybody that didn't believe in this story beforehand, you know what time it is now. Because we got a real one right here who is sharing her story and her feelings and her emotions.
He told me, and it was just like my trust for God, because I had been really getting grounded in my spirituality and really trusting God and understanding who God is and how he has control of my life, and not even that, how he can turn the most traumatic situation for good if you trust him, if you love him. And I love the Lord. I love the Lord with all my heart.
And he loves you.
I love him with all my heart. You know what I'm saying? So when he told me that, it was just like, wow. And I remember going up to the compound, and my people were already waiting for me. And they're like, what? I was like, I got it. And it was like the whole yard. Like, everybody was there. Everybody was coming out. Everybody was coming to me, telling me, yes. Like, so many people
We're so proud
were
of you.
so happy for me and so proud for me. And it's like a lot. Oh, shout out to all my sisters. There's too many to name, but shout out to all my sisters that I made in Framingham. We're still very tight. We just did a march around Framingham together to stop the building of a new prison that they're trying to build. And we all linked up, but like those are my sisters. Like to be able to be around people in prison, you get to meet people for who they really are.
Yeah.
And I mean to say that is there's no makeup, there's no jewelry, there's no clothes. Whatever somebody got, I can get. And whatever I have, they can get. We're all on the same level. You really get to know people for who they are. Everything else is stripped away.
So that's kinship.
Yes.
As a matter of fact.
Yes.
Like, everybody kind of maybe has empathy.
That's
and
why I say my
compassion,
sisters.
But kinship is a different level that people don't understand.
Yes.
They don't get it.
Yeah, so like my sisters that I met in there, so like everybody's out there. We're like, it was a celebration. And then it was just, getting ready, like, oh my God, like, and when
How long did it take from your appeal for you to get outside? Like the same day, or was it?
Oh, no.
No. Oh,
No,
okay. I don't know. I'm just curious.
no.
Like, once you got so you got the news that you were approved,
Yes.
and then what? You got to wait?
So what that got the news is that the courts had to either give me a lesser charge or they had to give me a new trial. And of course, Timothy Cruz decided for a new trial. He wanted a new trial.
And what year was this again?
This
And
was
like,
2000. So I found out I won my appeal 2015, and I went to my second trial 2016. So this is
Okay.
5-6 years later since my first trial.
yeah.
But
What a waste.
But it's not even that. Like I found out. So I only had to wait. So since the appeal, once I found out the appeal, I went to trial the next year.
Okay.
But finding out from when I got sentenced to actually getting the appeal was 5 years.
Okay.
That's
a long time.
To think you're gonna die in prison.
Yeah,
to
so
think
like
you're gonna die in
that
prison.
5 years, you
But I
really
was-
changed yourself
Yeah.
internally to get that
Yeah.
appeal approved.
Yes.
So I feel
started
like
changing
maybe
because I fought a lot and I did a lot. I was like ignorant to the cops, like but I came in there with trauma. I came in there trauma bound.
I think you're probably not the only one.
You know what I'm saying? So
They
like,
used to
but I had to learn things. Like it even got to the point like when I knew that I'm gonna have to see parole, and like at the time, and I think you remember, like parole was not given out like that. Nobody was getting parole. I was sitting there with women that had seen parole 3 or 4 times and was still there. Like nobody was getting parole as far as like lifers and stuff. So it was like that was like another mental thing that was like really pressuring me. So now like it's like once they gave me the new sentence at my second trial. So like even to like shout out to the second trial, that was only 2 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
That
compared
was
to
only
5
that
years.
was 2 weeks. So when I went to my second trial, it was 2 weeks, but I was a different woman at this trial. I had understood a lot more at this trial, what I had done, the ripple effect. Shout out to restorative justice. Restorative justice really helped me to take accountability and understand the ripple effect of what I've done. And it wasn't just, this young woman dying. It was her kids being affected, her family being affected, the community being affected by seeing a burnt out house in their community.
Right.
Everything. The guy that was driving to the house and actually went and helped people out, how it affected him. Like restorative justice makes you look at how everybody was affected.
And that's a therapeutic.
It's therapeutic in a way because you get a lot off your chest. You get to really look at your life, but not even that. What it shows you is how taking accountability doesn't mean you have to be condemned. I can still live my best life and pay it forward by changing my life. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what restorative justice did. Not only help me take accountability and understand, the harm that I've caused, but also the harm that was caused to me, as far as me being a victim myself, and how this is really how you got to break the cycle. You know what I'm saying? I had to understand that I was a victim myself, and it caused me to victimize somebody else.
But do you think that on that path that you learned when you were practicing restorative justice, that it was a pathway to healing?
Not that thing. Mind you, at the time, I was just trying to figure out something, like I wanted to be better. Chiteira wanted to be better. Chiteira, once I started educating myself, I started doing programs like it was nothing. Like, I was the sous chef in the culinary arts program. I did my
What's
1,000.
the dinner?
Well, I fed the staff. So
all right.
I got to eat good. I was eating shrimp.
That's good.
On the inside. Like, anything I told my boss to get, like, chef, let's do this meal, let's do this. He would do anything for me. And it's because I was a good worker. Like, he saw my work ethic. That's honestly where I built my work ethic. It was inside prison. I did the cosmetology program. I got my 1,000 hours in cosmetology.
Shout out to cosmetologists.
Yeah, shout
right
out,
here,
shout out
right?
to them. And the reason why I even wanted to do that, of course, is like these things I wanted to show parole what I was doing, but it was also, I like to make women feel good. Like, if you sit in my chair and you're like, I want my hair, I want to make you feel good. When you see a woman going there and they're all down and you get to do their hair and they're walking out and they got a bounce in their step,
Smile.
I
It's a
don't
change
hate
of the
on
smile.
that. I love that. I encourage that. Like, I really am a queen that crowns other queens. I want people to feel good about themselves because I know what it's like to be feeling like the bottom of the barrel. And it feels too good to feel good, to not want everybody to feel good. Like, I'm not a hater. I like how you said something earlier. I try my best to compliment at least 5 people throughout a day. I don't care if it's your shoes, your hair, or something you have to just make you feel good.
It's just natural. It just comes natural.
It feels, and when I see it, and I feel like, back in the day, not say it, but if I see you and your hair looks good, or I like the lip liner you got on.
I always asked about the lipstick and the
I'm
liner.
always telling a girl,
Always.
or
I'm
if
really
she
doing
looks
brown
this,
eyeliner.
or
I'm
if a
doing
dude
brown.
is handsome, I'm like, you are handsome, And they be like, wow, thank you. And it's like, I really like to make people feel good about themselves. And I'm not the type of person that, and I'm not stuck up. They can tell you I am very go with the flow. Like, I love community. I love space. I'm very bubbly,
Yeah.
and people would think that after everything I've been through, it's like, no, I actually was like this the whole time. I was like this in the streets. I was like this in prison. I'm like this now. Like, I never lost me.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
The more they stay the same. But going up where we left off on me coming home, the second trial.
Yeah.
So the
like
second
that.
trial, like, it was heavy, but I actually got to run into the young woman who died, who passed away, her brother.
Oh.
And, they were good with me at Brockton Superior, and, I would walk to the courtroom unshackled, no
Thank
cuffs.
God.
And I was walking right into him, and he was right there, and I was like, I am so sorry. And he was like, I forgive you. And he doesn't know
That
what
must
that
have
meant
felt
to me.
like, I don't even.
It felt like everything.
I can only imagine how
And
that.
I
makes you
needed
feel
that
whole.
going into that, into that space again.
Yes.
They showed, so what the SJC also decided is my first interview, they had to throw that out. They could no longer use that in the trial. So they only had the part where, mind you, I'm just saying, I guess I was like, I did it with a thing. I don't even remember saying that on
But
on
you
the
weren't
thing.
even there.
I
Like, you were
I
on
was
another-
I
you were on
wasn't
another
there,
planet
but
at
they're
that time.
showing the thing. But I was like, but what I loved is in this interview, I was like, I am so sorry. Like, I'm crying. I'm saying I never wanted to hurt nobody. I never wanted to do anything. And
This is your original video.
This is the original video of when they had me, and I'm crying. And what I love is the judge, who was kind of giving us a hard time because he thought it was just like that. When he saw that, he added involuntary manslaughter to the instructions. And the DA was like, I don't understand. He said, maybe you need to watch that again because you can honestly see a woman saying, I never meant to hurt. Like, I don't,
You don't even know
I'm holding myself accountable and letting you know right there in this moment,
Provocation.
this is not something I wanted to happen. And, the niece of the young woman who passed, she stopped somebody that, was coming to my trial and was like, I didn't know she was sorry. And that's another thing. At my first trial, my lawyer told me, "Oh, don't say sorry because it might show, guilt or that you did have it and you're going for your appeal." So I didn't say nothing. And mind you,
Did it make you feel kind of like
it made me feel
closed off,
it made
like-
me feel closed off because first of all, this is my first trial,
Then you got
and I'm
shut
only
down.
I'm gonna do what you tell me to do. I don't know what to
Right.
do. But at my second trial, I already knew I was going in there different. But she was like, I never knew she said she was sorry. And that killed me because that meant this family and the people that loved her and cared about her and the other people that were in the house for 10 years, they're thinking I'm not sorry. They really think that I just did something just with the most
malicious
intent ever.
And
And that's not what it was. So when she got to see in that moment, them telling me what happened, that this woman passed, I am an emotional wreck.
okay.
I'm an emotional wreck. I'm not just like, oh, okay. No, I am an emotional wreck.
And they didn't really look at the clips too often.
No, they didn't. They looked at the tape, when it was
They only
there.
they only looked at the other tape. They
Yeah,
didn't look
so
at the real tape.
I got to be able to say that. So I went through that whole, that trial. That jury was fighting for me. My first
This was the
jury,
second round,
it was like
2
two.
weeks.
Yes, my second trial, they're sitting there, they're fighting for me. The jury, they was in there for 3 days arguing. The COs was telling me they was in there arguing, like it was getting heated.
Listen, I had to go on Superior for jury duty.
Yeah,
I had to go over there.
Yeah.
And some guy, I don't know, he did something with an elderly. I don't know, but I had to go in the room with the lawyers and the judge and the guy, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, nah, I go, he's not guilty. I gotta go. That's what I had to say. He's not guilty. I gotta go.
Well, that's what. So my first trial, I think it was.
Shout out to your
Shout out
jurors.
to my second jury, and not even this. Shout out to me, like God playing with my mind. It was an all-white jury. Like I had minorities on my first jury where I thought I had a chance, guilty of everything.
Me too.
My second trial, it was all white. I said, "Oh, this is it. I was like, I'm done." No, it was that jury. So shout out to anybody, whoever was on that second jury that did, really fight for me to get the second. Because I don't know if they was fighting between first and second. I
But
don't
they
know if
gave
they
you
was
a
fighting
chance
between
at life.
second or involuntary. And so the DA ended up coming. Like on the third
he
day.
showed up?
No. Just like when I say the DA, the prosecutor.
Oh, okay.
They end up coming, now they have a plea deal for me. And they were like, if she pleads guilty to everything, we'll give her the 15 to life. And I sat in that room.
But you already did 15.
Well, no, at this time I had like 10, 11 years in. This isn't at the point. So she wanted me to plead to the second, but I had to plead guilty to everything. And I didn't know if they were trying to decide between the second and involuntary, because they damn sure could have been going for involuntary too. Because when you really look at my case, it really should be an involuntary manslaughter.
You were under the influence of.
But like I said, I'll take whatever God gave me. I take it. But my lawyer was like, "Oh, you should take this. They're probably gonna give you. Chiteira, they might be going for the first, because I also could have got convicted of the first again." Just because I
All
was
over again?
all over again, and
No.
that
Yeah,
was
they do
yeah.
that.
They
that-
could do that?
Yes,
they can
it's
do
all
it.
depending on the jury. It
Yep.
all depended on how it was,
So
but.
most people
No
plea out.
kidding.
Yeah, and shout out, really got to give a shout out to Michelle. Her real name is Audrey Johnson. She's actually the woman whose house they're saying that I was having the problems with. And, I'd known her since I was 17. And there was a whole bunch of speculation on why I set the house on fire. My boyfriend was cheating on me, or this was happening. I'm happy y'all think that. I don't even know why I did it. You know, like, not to like say it like that, but there's been so much speculation, and I can't even tell you why I did it. It's not something, I can't even call it a crime of passion if I don't remember why. You know, but everybody had all this speculation on what it was. But shout out to Michelle. You know, and I say this because I always loved her. I never stopped loving her. I never wanted to hurt her, kill her, anything like that. We fought, you know, but never to like want to take her life and I actually ran into her down in Nubian Square. And the very first thing I did was what I was taught in restorative justice. I told her, I said, any pain, harm, like that I caused you in your life or anything, I said, I just want to let you know that I am so sorry. And what it was beautiful to me, it just seemed like a whole weight came off of her shoulders.
So she received it.
She received it. She
And
loved
that's-
me. She hugged me. She told me she loved me. She told me she was proud of me. And like, that's what keeps me. Like, that's like the Lord has been blessing me to show, like, he has been restoring me. But like, you know, Michelle, she came to the second trial. The first trial, it was, oh yeah, she did it. She's this, she's that, da 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 da. The second trial, you know, the prosecutor would say,
I love the way you talk, by the way. You are so Brockton. Right? I love
she's this, she's that,
Right?
da 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 da.
But
You know,
it's
all
so-
this stuff.
It's so good. It's so good. You are.
But she sat there in the second trial. She came and the prosecutor was like, well, didn't she say she was going to do this? And she was like, yeah, but I said I was going to do it too. Well, didn't Miss Thomas say she was going to kill you? She was like, but I said I was going to kill her too. Like, she finally showed that it was going both ways.
Oh.
You know, and how the story was being shown is like I was just on some crazy stuff. But at my second trial, she was taking accountability and showing that she was antagonizing me with stuff. Like, she stole my clothes. She stole my whole case of CDs. People know how I feel about my music. Like, there was a lot of things.
We are hip hop.
You know, like, there was a lot of things she was doing to me. Like, I would give her an 8-ball to stay there for a couple of nights. Once the 8-ball was gone, she's telling me I gotta go. Like, there was a lot of things she was doing. And, like, when I would leave, I would break a window. Like, all right, if I gotta go, I'm breaking a window or something. They turned me breaking a window as I knew it was going to feed the oxygen of the fire. Like, I was playing. I said, yeah, you guys are giving me way too much credit.
They thought you had a science
They
project
thought
there?
thought they were like, wait, oxygen is feeding the fire. Like, when they were saying some of the things, like, to watch.
was even saying
the
that?
prosecutor. Like,
they'll
this is
go
what
for
I mean.
anything, yeah.
They're going to say anything to make you look like you are a psychotic freaking killer.
Yeah.
Like, and you have to, and this is what I mean about being at a trial. You have to sit there and hear that.
Yeah.
With your family, strangers, everybody, people that don't even really know you hearing this stuff about you.
Right.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But they were saying all these things, but like, you know, Michelle brought a different energy, and I think that helped with the decision too. I really think that helped with the verdict.
I think that your passion and your change is maybe what also helped with the verdict, and I think that God is with you.
And I was like, I there was more emotion this time. I had a better understanding. And then when they did, you know, say the verdict, and they stood, and then, you know, they said Chiteira, they reached the verdict, and I was like, here we go. And I didn't take the plea deal. I told him that I didn't want to take it, that I was going to trust God. I didn't think that he was giving me this chance to re-sentence me to natural life again. So I didn't take the deal. And we went in there, and we stood up, and they said, you know, how do you find it? And when they said guilty of second degree, just tears, because I knew I had a shot. And then they found me not guilty on all the attempted murders.
Beautiful.
So I still had the arson, I still had, the second degree, but not guilty for, the attempted murders. So I was happy that I trusted, and I'll never forget, there was a woman that was a juror, an older white woman. She looked at me and she kind of smiled, like it was like, girl, you got this.
Yeah.
Like, we believed in you, sorry you went through this. And then my lawyer, they was like, oh, they asked, do you have anything you want to say to the victims, to the family? And I'm like, yeah, my lawyer was like, oh, once again, like, oh, you shouldn't say that. I said, you're bugging. Because at that point, I knew that they never heard from me.
Yeah.
And she got up there, the woman that lived on the third floor, who's now raising the woman who's passed, her daughter.
That's so kind, huh?
She got up there. She said, "You never said sorry." I was like, "Oh, I'm definitely saying it." So I got up and I looked at them and I told them, I said, "I'm so sorry," and I meant it from the core of my being. Like, and her son had passed. So this little girl, who's actually going to be 20 this year, doesn't have a mother and a father. And I think about that, and I think about every year that I was locked up, it meant a year she was older. That's how I would look at this little girl and keep us making sure I'm remembering her. I'm
Yes.
not gonna forget her.
Well, you're a mom.
I'm a mom.
You're a mom.
I'm a mom, and I know what I took from that little girl. My actions took from that little girl. But I got up and I told them that I was sorry. How I wanted to help people, how I wanted to do things, how I wanted to really, just really be the best that I could. And so there's something like this doesn't happen again. And they gave me their blessing. They said, if that's what you want to do, Chiteira, that's what you should do. And they don't know, like, all I needed was to hear that. I didn't need to hear nothing else. Just the fact that they gave me that little bit of blessing. Oh, I was off and running after that. And going back into Framingham, when I walked back in there with that 15 to life sentence, everything changed. People could argue with me, say whatever. I'm looking the other way. I'm not, talking trash to CEOs. If I do, I'm going in there apologizing. I'm trying to be like, really get myself out of it.
But you're becoming an example that you want to lead by.
I'm being that person. I'm like going in there, and this is, like I said, there was a point in time, especially preparing for parole, was like really what changed me. There was a time I was doing BU classes, like 2 or 3 BU classes, 5 mental health groups, 3 pathway groups, volunteering in Cosmo. Like, I was doing so much to try to rack up all my certificates, get this, do that. I created a victim when we lost restorative justice when COVID happened. I created my own victim impact group. It was called Our Remorse. And it was like 8 weeks. The first week was like, who are our victims? Like, I think people need to understand that part.
Is this a curriculum that you put together?
I put that together.
Really?
I create programs. I can run groups, everything. Like, prison, I did everything in prison.
There is not a lot of resources for women, especially in Brockton.
No. And I'm trust
But
me,
you are
we're
one.
working. I'm now that I'm getting up on the path of, being stable and making sure that I'm good, there's definitely so much more I want to add to my city. I actually went, when I saw that they was holding a 50-in-1 event at Brockton High School, and they were looking like for 50 mentors, and a lot of people showed up, but I would love to be a part of something to really show them this is how we move forward. I heard a lot of talk.
Right now.
I heard a lot of talk, but I'm more like action. Like I said, I can do curriculums. I can read energies in room. I can run groups. I run programming. Like, this is what I do. So being able to have that experience in prison, like, really got me ready for everything that's going on out here. And once I flipped my case and got ready for parole, preparing for parole was everything, because when you have to go, I have to convince these people to let me out.
Yeah.
I have to show them that I've changed in my behavior, in my education, in my programming, in everything. And
you must have even just sat different in the chair, I would think.
Like, my mother says it, and I really want to get it, but she tells me that I need to get my parole hearing, because I had to find a strategy to go in there with, and the strategy is I was just gonna flood them with everything. And you can see I'm good at talking. So like, they would ask me one question and I would give
Were you
long,
on the stand?
So it's like a table like this. They're right there. There's a big screen right there, so people in the back can see you, and you have to pitch your life. And and it starts off with, tell us what happened that day. And so I decided, okay, well, I think I need to go back a little bit further. Can I not go back just that day? Can I go back a little so you can understand what led up to that day?
Yeah.
And that's how it got the flow. Let me show you what built up to that day. And then when they would ask me a question, I would give long, extended answers. if they were asking me a question, I kind of knew the other questions that would go with it, so I would make sure that I would answer it. So it looked like I was being very transparent, which I was.
Which you are.
You know, very transparent. I'm telling you what it is. I'm telling you why. I think I never had any dirty urines in jail. There was just one time that I got caught up with this girl trying to crush a pill up for her. Apes came, everything. They're like, well, tell us what happened with this. I said it was just stupid. Like, there's really not an explanation. It was dumb. It was stupid. I had to pay money. I had to go to the hole. I had to do it was just dumb. It should have never happened. It was me being stupid. It was a lapse in judgment. Like, that real. And, like, saying that.
And being honest.
Being honest and telling them.
It and telling their story to people that are strangers.
And what it was so good for me about actually being and having a parole hearing, I'm sorry, it was the fact that I finally got to tell my side. For 2 trials, I had to hear everybody say their version of the events. I had to hear everybody's version of how it is. When I went to that parole hearing, now it's my turn.
And today it is too.
You know, and I did an amazing job. They gave me a 2-year setback for the first time, but I wasn't depressed. I didn't get discouraged. I knew a 2-year setback meant they saw potential in me.
So I mean, you were getting another 2 years. So who cares?
You get what I'm saying? And that's and then
that's
I got it. And I got it.
When you first went and you got Natural Life, then here we are today,
Yes.
and you are here sitting at this table. You had 2 years and 2 weeks. Listen.
Yes. And now to say what I'm doing now
is giving back.
Yes. But you know, so I was the violence intervention and prevention coordinator at Teen Empowerment. And also a mentor in the Visions for the Future program, but I just got a new job at North Suffolk Community Services, being a recovery coach.
Congratulations! That's amazing.
And that's
so
really
good.
the job I want to do, because when I was in prison, I actually did some correspondence work. I was through the Center for Addiction Studies, so I got the 270 hours on substance abuse education, because I wanted to be a LADAC. I am a consultant for Boston Medical Center. Shout out to Dr. Elise Warcell. And that happened because I also am a fellow in the My Turn program at Tufts University, which is really been like the community to help me get up to really believe in myself out here. Because I knew who I was on the inside, but I'm not going to lie. It was like really, it took me a little bit to really understand who Chiteira was now that I was home.
Do you think that confidence and self-esteem are the same thing?
No.
And do you think that you have that your self-esteem is balanced to as you've grown? Do you think that your self-esteem has gone up? Because I struggle with this.
Yes.
There's a personal question. So I believe that my self-confidence might be more than my self-esteem sometimes.
It's so funny you're
It's
saying that,
easy to say, like,
it's
easy
easier to
it's
have
easy.
confidence. My confidence has always been there, but self-esteem was low.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So where do you get this? How do you work? What's the tool that you work on, like, for self-esteem? Because like I need that, and you're like in this business to like help. You already know.
Self-esteem is like I said, really turning to God and asking God, who am I? I think a lot when self-esteem, we got to understand how crafty the enemy is, and when I say the enemy, I mean Satan, the devil. We put a lot into people as individuals, but Satan can use people and things and shapeshift to make you feel less than who you are. So once I started really getting grounded with the Lord and who I am in his eyes, that's all that matters. But the enemy will really try to make you look at yourself as you are not worthy.
That's true. That part, you know,
He's going to make you feel like you are less than. Doubt, worry, fear, aggravate, all of this, that is not of God. If you, like, even when I came home and I had like some fear and I was doubting and worried.
It just causes anxiety.
I was driving myself absolutely insane. And God had to reveal to me, like, you got to understand who is bringing that type of energy on you. And it wasn't the people around me. He was using people around me in situations, but it has always been the enemy of my soul. It has always been the enemy of my soul. Once I got a handle of that and how to overcome that, there's nothing nobody can say about me, and everything. This confidence, this self-esteem that I have is natural now. It's not fabricated, where I believe as a kid it was. Because even though I was perceiving like coming off like that, I really wasn't that strong and that confident and that self-assured. Now nobody can tell me nothing about me. That's why it was easy for me to crumble back then.
Yeah.
It's not easy for me to crumble now. You're going to have to come with a lot more to try to take me out, as far as with your words, with your actions, or anything,
Agree.
to knock me off my square. Because I realize that if anybody's coming at me with that type of energy, it's the enemy of my soul. It's not even the people. He uses people, places, and things.
My girlfriend yesterday, two days ago, we went out for lunch, and she said, I said, you know, look at where we were, and look at where we are today,
That's
you know,
right.
in community. And she said, I had to die 1,000 times
That's
to become
right.
this version of myself.
That's right.
Heather, you are right.
That's
I
right.
think I died 1,001.
And not for nothing, shout out to everybody who even knows that and understands that and can understand that you can die 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Don't let that first death, second death, and you think, oh, that's it, I'm out. I feel like when I look at
Keep
people
going.
under the bridge, when I look at people on these streets, when I look at things that's happening, it's like, no, I have gotten out. I've seen people that I know and gotten right out and hugged them.
Yeah.
Under that bridge, ask them if they need anything, what's going on.
They're human
when
beings.
I
They're
went,
people.
and not even that, I've been in their shoes. And I know that this may not be it for them. I know that this is not it. Trust me, look at my life. It took a minute. I had to go through some things, but one thing that I know is the Lord always knew I was strong enough to go through it. Let's go back to 2007 with this woman telling me the Lord is going to do miraculous things for you.
That's right.
And me holding on to that and understanding it. Like I said, I'm a fellow in the My Turn program. I spoke at Tufts School of Medicine about my health issues. About, you know, my health issues were going. The woman, Dr. Elise Wassell, loved how I spoke. She was like, oh.
I outed how I got skinny too, by the way.
What?
The no gallbladder.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's a
It
real
is.
deal.
It really is. It really does.
If you know, you know.
But she plugged me in. I went down to the Academic Consortium on Criminal Justice Health last year to Austin, and I spoke. I was a speaker on a panel with a doctor and a lawyer. I'm going back this year. This year we're going to Atlanta. So I'm going to Atlanta in March.
So are you fighting for like criminal justice reform?
That's what I mean. So that's what I'm doing. Like with as far as carceral health, I'm also an Interact Community Advisory Board member, and I do want to say shout out to one of my cab members, Lynette. We just found out that she passed away, but we do work that basically helps researchers in the medical field how to so when they're doing HIV testings or they're trying to treat substance abuse inside prisons, we're showing them, because we have the lived experience on the best language to use,
right?
The best way to proceed with it. So that's kind of like social, but it's like making sure people that are inside are getting the proper care that they need. So I'm in that field. And then also I work with the Free Her movement, the Families for Justice is Healing. Like I said, we went up to Framingham when we found out that they're trying to put $360 million into rebuilding Framingham. We all rallied up and we all, marched around there.
Like
in
if it's
support
not
of our
broke,
system.
don't fix it.
Yeah, because it's not even that. You're going to build this place up, but if there's still internal problems, what does that do?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Who cares about the structure? If there's still internal problems, not enough programming,
Well, it's almost like a
not
human
enough
being.
reentry
Listen,
services,
it's like
how are we going to do this?
if
No,
they're
I don't care
internal.
about the building.
If it's internal. So if it's of pure intent or if it's not.
Thank you. So I work with them as far as social justice. Shout out to the Transformational Prison Project. They just drafted up a bill to end lifetime parole, and juvenile lifetime parole too. And so when we go to the State House and we do everything, I'm showing up there testifying.
Do you think that they're doing enough? I mean, it seems like you're doing enough. But on the other side, are they doing enough for this reform?
I honestly, like I said, I think with me and Nate, when we saw that people weren't really coming home, in the early 2000s, 90s, I just heard so much about parole. Nobody was getting parole. And when you look at it now, so many people are getting parole. And I'm around some beautiful women and men. It's not just me. There's people out there killing it. And me going to the city of Boston, and I think Maura Haley had gave like $10 million as far as like to reentry for people that were coming home.
That's it, though? She could have
Not
given
even,
a little
it
more.
could have been more, but I got my housing.
Shout out, she could have got a little more.
She could
Mara.
have,
Open
but I
the
was
wallet.
I was able to go. I was able to get my housing through Office of Returning Citizens. But shout out to my sister Romilda Pereira. She is the city of Boston. She has been, I want to say, the only female friend that I've made that has been like genuine, because any other female friends that I have, her and Rose, any other female friends that I have are either from my childhood or from prison.
Yeah.
Like, I came home and I'm not really trying to make friends.
I
You get
got
what I'm
you.
saying? Like,
Yeah, because
I
you
have to know.
protect yourself.
I'm protecting myself. But you know, Romilda, she actually, I have to say she started in prison because she worked for Families for Justice's Handling. And you know, they're also connected to the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women. And it's like a whole big movement, like throughout the country.
It needs to be.
Yeah.
It takes a movement to make
When
change.
I first came home, we marched down in D.C. We caught the bus down to D.C. and we marched in D.C. Right there where it said Black Lives Matter, right up to the White House. So it was like, and this was when I first came home. So I got to experience these things coming home. But like I said, shout out to Romilda, because what a lot of people don't know is she was really the person to help build Office of Returning Citizens with Marty Walsh, you know, when he was the mayor. And she does so much for the city as far as like social justice and, you know, prison reform. She's actually, what she was coming up to Framingham, the reason why now segregation has changed is because of work that she did. You
I
know,
heard something about a black phone and a white phone. Is that real?
black phone
Like
and
in
white phone.
prison? The black phone and the white phone. Is that a
Yeah,
thing?
What's
they
that?
got black phones, Spanish phones.
Oh, it's
we
like
don't
that.
got that.
phones,
No.
And the women's
The
prison
guy,
is not-
the women's prison are not. Like, the guys are more.
Guys are bougie.
Yeah, guys, well, you gotta understand, like, the culture for the men, and what I'm realizing is, like, when they were coming in, it was already set up like this. I came into Framingham, I'm not gonna lie, to love. People being supportive, like, if you
That's
needed
so
sneakers, if you needed this, if you needed that, like, you could go to everybody. It could be cliquey in its own sense, but if you clicked up with people, then you clicked up. But as far as like race and all that, it wasn't like that. We're very emotional.
We're
like,
from Brockton.
you
We
know-
weren't like that growing up. You know what I mean?
You know, like the only thing that like really in prison that doesn't happen, that happens in women's prison, that not in the men, is the relationships between women.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Being friends. Making lifelong friends.
Well, like being in sexual relationships.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like women being like, there's a lot of, you know, that activity in there. If you link up with somebody, like, that's a lot of how a lot of people would do their bid, is by being in a relationship.
I heard that. That's.
Yeah, but if the
that-
girls that were
common.
not gay, like, and there was some girls that would come in gay for the stay. Oh, I'm not gay. Next thing you know, they are gay.
Gay for the stay.
Gay for the
Well,
stay.
that's the thing. It's like.
And then some girls know, like, you know, some girls are like, nope, like, I like men, that's it.
So
but,
what about over there? What about you? Do you think that there's like a little bit of that over there on the men's side?
It's just a lot different, man. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of frowned upon. You know what I mean?
I would think.
But they
I
have
think.
a lot of guys that, you know, that are in the closet. But when I was doing my time, I didn't really focus on
Nah,
what people.
You didn't
doing.
care. You were just worried about your own self, right?
you really
I was just
can't.
focused on getting the hell out.
That's
man.
it. Finding
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah.
Find a way.
You both did it.
I laughed. Me and my friends, like, I don't, like, sometimes I feel like I don't laugh as much as I do now as I did in prison. We found everything to laugh about. There was always some type of comedy, and, like, my sense of humor is, like, really different. And shout out to my homie, Yamale, my sister,
Shout out to
Yami and Angie. Those are my sisters. We actually came home around all the same time, but when I was really planning on coming home for the takeover, it was with them two sisters.
Oh, what's Angie's last name?
Angie Jefferson.
Oh, I don't know her. Okay.
Angie Jefferson, but she served 32 years.
Good for Angie.
Yep,
getting
Angie
out.
got out. Angie flipped her case. She's home now. She's doing amazing things. Like I said, she works at Families for Justice's Handling. We do a lot of work together. We actually meet every Wednesday night. We're starting to start a group now to start having formerly incarcerated women start coming monthly.
Where are you
and
going to
meeting
have
them.
that meeting?
It's going to be in Boston if people want to come, but I really want to.
Maybe we can mirror it and have something like that here.
I think so. And I think everybody would love to come and really be a part of this. But like I said, I've really been thinking
I'd
about
like to
what
be a part
to
of
do.
this.
Yes, and you
see?
can.
I'd like to help.
But what I really want is now that I'm a little bit more situated, I got my card through Second Chance Cars. Shout out to Dan at Second Chance Cars. I applied and I got a car from them. So basically what Second Chance Cars is, they give you a car, all fixed up. It's a 2006 Honda Civic, but it's my little baby and
It's
I love her.
yours.
It's mine.
It gets you around, and that's all that
and
matters.
They charge you $900. That's it. But you just pay $75 a month until it's paid off. Then it's a paid off. Then it's a paid off loan, and your credit score boosts up. I ended up getting my housing through Office of Returning Citizens. I ended up moving to West Roxbury in a beautiful complex. I feel like I live in a hotel. I have a gym. I have a pool. And all I really wanted was the washer and dryer in my unit.
Right, of course. Who wants to carry that?
And a tub,
Nobody.
because a lot of these buildings aren't giving people tubs anymore. But I need a bath. I need a bath. I need a bathtub, especially for my granddaughter. Shout out to my granddaughter.
Oh.
She's 2. She's beautiful. She's everything. And
Blessings.
she comes to my house, even if she just spends a night, she takes 3 baths. Like, she loves being in the bath. But I'm also doing that work. I got so much other things that are in the plans to move forward. But I love where I'm at in my life now. I regained my confidence. I regained my peace of mind. I reclaimed my crown. And what I realized, it never fell off. It slipped a little bit, but it never fell off.
Listen, and if your friends are supposed to just say, "Hey, girl," let me just adjust that real quick. We put that crown right.
Well,
back
that's what
on
we
you.
do now. I'm in this. I'm in spaces, and I'm around people that's what we do now.
And that's how it should.
And that's how I must admit, like, a lot of my broken heart came from being around people that honestly never deserved me in their life.
But that's okay. When one
Point
door
blank,
closes,
period.
another one opens, and that's how you have to look at things. And I want you to realize, like, I've been in trial. I had to go to court. I was 45. I almost I was so embarrassed. First of all, the kid that works in Brockton Courthouse is in the Boston Courthouse. We'll talk about that another time. But I had to go to trial. I couldn't believe it. My mother. My friend got off a plane from Germany and sat between me and my mother, so there was no fight because he didn't know what was going to happen.
Dang.
Okay? So you are a vision of hope and resilience for the future of really restoring justice in women. Like the transition process, the hope that gets you through the entire program, like from A to B. And all the hiccups along the way, because it seems like in every one of the trials,
I tell
there's
everybody,
a million hiccups along the way.
appreciate your journey.
You are someone that can give someone inspiration and hope that they can get out. There is a way out. There's a way on another side. If you are on drugs, there is a way out. There's hope. You just have to find it within yourself to want to make a change, because nobody's going to change that stuff for you. Nobody's going to change your mindset. You have to change. Who cares about changing people, places, things? We could do that all day. We could drive around all day long. But you know what? It's what your mindset is about.
That's right.
And it seems that your mindset is focused on giving back to community.
It is. And that's why I said, I think a lot of people need to appreciate the journey. If like, one thing I learned too is like trusting the process of no matter what it is you're going through. But like you, and one thing you said that I think is crucial, because I wanted to say this, it is a choice. Getting clean, changing your life, it is a choice. It's a choice you make. When I decided when I went into Framingham that I was done with drugs and I wanted to change my life, even if it was just going to be inside a prison, that was a choice I made. And I kept working towards the goal of changing me. What a lot of people don't understand is I couldn't stand me. I didn't like me. I didn't like the things that I was doing. I didn't like, while everybody else, I don't like it, well, I didn't like it. I don't care how much I'm showing you or you think that I do. I don't like it, but I didn't know how to get out. But trust in Jesus, reading his word, understanding that he can, like, there's so many scriptures from who can make straight what he made crooked.
Well, listen,
That changed
let's talk
my
about
life.
Joseph. Poor
Joseph.
Joseph.
Poor
But, you know,
Joseph.
Joseph's a good guy.
But and it's like when you look at it, it's like poor Joseph. But I used to read Joseph's story and knowing he went through exactly what he went through. This is what I mean. Trusting the journey because God was setting that path. So yes, his brothers threw him in a ditch. Yeah, they wanted to kill him. Yeah, they sold him to slavery. Yeah, he went to Egypt. Yeah, he ended up. But even when he was in the jail in Egypt, he ended up being in the woman and the guy's house. Where the woman wanted to have sex with him. He ended up going back to jail. He went through so much stuff, but through the whole process, he was trusting God. And the reason why he was trusting God, look what it was. He ended up being second in command in Egypt to feed because there was a famine coming. He was the dream interpreter. Pharaoh's having this dream of, I don't know what it means. Oh, we know this guy that's locked up right now who interprets dreams, and it's Joseph.
All right.
Trust God. Trust God. Trust God. He knows what he's doing in your life if you trust him.
Listen,
and that's
you
what
are
it
like
was for me.
Okay?
But it was the stories of the Bible and watching how God works in people's lives for good that made me understand who I was.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you have to, the story of Moses, the story of Joseph, the story of David, the story of so many people in the Bible. Saul, who became Paul, everybody. Like read the Bible, read these stories and understand that God can change anything you got going on for good if you love him and you trust him. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Everything, when you really think about it in its totality, man, your story, my story, a lot of other people that have been in our situation.
That's right.
It's like Joseph, man. But, it was an honor.
I know, this was fun. I'll have to come back.
Yeah.
Anytime. The door is open.
It really was, man. I'm just so proud of you, man.
I appreciate
and sisters
you.
like you, man. Shout out to Yami again.
Yeah, shout out to Yami. And not even that, shout out to my
Hillary.
brother Nate. Shout out to Hillary. Shout out to the whole My Turn program.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody that is taking those of us that have been labeled as, what would you say the word is?
Unredeemable.
There it is. And believing in us and putting us in spaces for us to be our full self. And, shouting out Nate. Like I told Nate all the time, like every time I see him, he's on Facebook and doing another podcast. You just taught a class, Dr. Hill's, one of Dr. Hill's classes.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do one of those too. But like,
Was that yesterday?
I think that was yesterday when he was on live. But Nate came home and, I'm helping keeping him grounded and shed some of the, the jail stuff and everything and just helping him find his way out here because he's an amazing man. And like, this is 30
and the
plus
streets
years.
can suck you in, Hildy.
And not even that. We were talking about 30 plus years of incarceration and not even that, the prison that he was in before he went in. That's what people don't understand. Like when he talks to me about his past, what he's been through, and I'm hearing it, he was a victim himself.
Oh, no kidding.
And nobody takes care of the victim that we have to tend to that victim in us ourselves. And then look where he's at now, and what he does is spread love. Nate spreads love. He spreads joy.
Love, yeah.
He wants everybody to know who they are and who they can be. Like,
Listen,
this man bigs me
if
up.
you walk down Main Street right now, everybody's going to know him.
Yeah, and he bigs me up more
It's
than
wild.
anything.
No, it's like crazy. It's like you got the paparazzi out there.
I'm telling
for
you,
real.
because it's that, and it's like, and I
I'm
love
like,
that for
wait
him.
a minute.
I
Hold on,
love
let me
that
take a
for
picture.
him. I love that
It's
for him.
great.
I love that for us, and that's what I was trying to tell him. Like, once you've been through that type of, like, when people see me and they meet me or whatever, and I can talk about what I'm doing, they're like, that's great. When I tell them I used to smoke crack, they look at me like I got 10 heads. They're looking like, where? When I tell them that I did 17 years, they're like, where?
Well, first of all, you don't even look like you could have been in jail for 17 years. You don't even look that old.
No, God
Oh.
would preserve me. But
Yeah.
it was a blessing to be here, and I really thank you guys,
We
thanking Nate for
are
putting me on and
so
meeting you.
grateful to have you.
Yes.
I want to
Real.
say, and I'm going to say it straight and plain like peanut butter and jelly on some wheat bread. Hey, yo, respect this sister's name. Respect this sister's name, man. You know what I'm saying? A kind word and a gesture is the best form of charity, man. And, yo, not only, man, do you represent beauty, but beautiful things come from out of struggle, and you're that beautiful thing. You're like Park said, that rose going from that concrete,
That's
man.
right.
And it's an honor and a privilege to have you on the Cartel/Beautiful Things Come From Struggle podcast, man. YouTube channel. Y'all, I love you, sister.
I love you
You know
too.
what I'm saying?
I love you too.
I love y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Shout
yes.
out to everybody.
We love you guys. Thank you
All
for
right.
joining us.